Having some camera issues, guys. Give me 1 second here. Let's see what we've got. How we looking? Are we alive? Can you see me now? I don't know. How we doing? I'm alive. I'm alive. I don't know where my headphones. Oh, they're on my head. What the hell? I think I'm connected. No, I'm not. Can you guys see me okay now? Give me a thumbs up. I'm a little discombobulated. All right, we're good. Sweet. Now I just need my headset to turn on. There we go. Cool, cool, cool. How you guys doing today? These lights got me sweating already, y'all. Holy smokes. Yikes. God. Oh, man. Let me know if the audio cuts out at all, guys. I'm like super paranoid now because of that stupid issue that I had the other day with 7 Sins. So I'm still kind of pissed about that, to be honest with you. It really irks me when things don't work, especially when you guys have been requesting that one like a bunch, and then I did it, and then I realized the mic didn't work, and so now I got to go back and try and do a voiceover. So, like I said in the comments, it's going to be one of those things where it's like, at this very moment is when I shit my pants. So that's kind of how I'm going to approach 7 Sins, I think, but that's not why we're here. We are here to jump into chapter 7 and 8 by Ren to kind of close out his life story. Been meaning to get to this. Life's been crazy. Work's been crazy. Holy cow. Let me tell y'all. No, I won't tell y'all. Work's been crazy, though. We got, I manage a few things at work, and it's been nuts lately. So glad to be here. Glad to be back. Thank you all for showing up. I appreciate you guys so much for showing up and joining me on this journey. So with that being said, guys, I'm not going to talk too much here. I am just going to jump right into it. Let me get the video up. Should be solid. You guys can see the video, I hope. And we are gonna be off. Hey now. I don't know about beautiful face. You see this? This is sweat. I'm already sweating. It's these lights. They're hot. They are hot. But, yes, I'm glad to see you're doing good, Sonora. I have been working my ass off. I'm finally done, I think. Fingers crossed. Finally done. And yes, you are absolutely right. I have been catching up. I was gone about a week when we didn't have power. So, anywho, why don't we get this thing rolling, huh? Here we go. Chapter 7. And I did see, Sharon, you have work, it sounds like, in about 45 minutes. You got to leave for work, so let's get to it.
Before he even had the test results, the doctor in Brussels glanced up from the form he'd asked me to fill out, and he said, "You have Lyme disease. We can run the tests, but I'm certain of it." I'd heard of Lyme in past...
Okay. I got to go back into the memory banks. Chapter 6. Can you guys remind me? We left off and he had found this new doctor, correct? Through, if I remember, I feel like he met someone that kind of led him to this doctor, maybe. Can you guys? I am glowing. Thank you guys. Can you guys help me out with that? How did that end? This is why I should have done it sooner. I feel like he found a new doctor, if I recall. So let me know if that's not accurate here. But yeah, stem cell doc. Thank you, Pixie. Stem cell doc. That makes all the sense in the world now. Okay, cool. I just needed some context.
Before he even had the test results, the doctor in Brussels glanced up from the form he'd asked me to fill out, and he said, "You have Lyme disease. We can run the tests, but I'm certain of it." I'd heard of Lyme in passing during my hours trawling the internet, but I'd never spent long diving into it. It was an extremely rare disease in the UK that you can get from tick bites, so it never really came across my radar. I sat there.
It's a huge thing in Florida, right? We have different types of ticks, but the deer ticks, if you're out hunting or doing anything like that, you get bit by a deer tick, you run the possibility of contracting Lyme disease, which is no fucking joke, as we know. Crazy.
Puzzled for a moment. I said, can I get better? He said that many people go on to recover, some don't. Right. I wanted to ask him so many questions, but my mind at that moment was totally blank.
Dude, I'm sorry to keep stopping already, guys, but like, man, this is so familiar for me because I just went through so many issues myself trying to get answers on something, and it's like, some people recover, some people don't. Oh, and by the way, you're in the 2% of people who have this issue. 2%. Great.
The test results eventually came back, sure enough, positive for Lyme, and the co-infection Bartonella, along with many other biomarkers which suggested autoimmunity and immune dysfunction. My whole life, I'd been waiting for this moment. To have something printed on a piece of paper that showed that I wasn't actually fucking crazy. That I could shove in the faces of anyone who'd made me feel like a hypochondriac or like a head case. But when the moment finally came, I felt numb. It was hard to rejoice. I had the lingering PTSD from the psychotic meltdown the year before, which made it pretty hard to break into the realms of happiness. Instead, I did what I always do. I got home, and I took to the internet, and I researched the best ways to escape. The summer that I got sick, I spent 2 weeks camping in a small festival.
When he says okay, so there could be different interpretations of escaping, right? When he says he was looking for the best ways to escape, that could mean, in my head at least, is he talking about ways to end the suffering? Or are we talking about this getaway here? I don't know. I know both has crossed his mind, definitely in the past, based on what we've heard.
Ways to escape. The summer that I got sick, I spent 2 weeks camping in a small festival in Dorset. One night, me and friends decided to climb a nearby hill to build a bonfire in the woods. On the way there, the fields were full of long grass and deer. 3 people, all my age, who all attended that festival came down with ME or fibromyalgia-like symptoms over the course of the next year. One was a friend of the family who was shut in a dark room for years because the light would be too intense for him. Before that festival, he was bursting with life, a successful capoeira dancer, reduced to a zombie. Lyme disease seemed to be as much of a medical labyrinth as ME was.
Man. Imagine that. You're going to a festival to have a good time with friends, and it fucks your whole life up. Man. That doesn't sound like just Ren. I don't know if these other people have long-term issues now, but it definitely does not sound like it was just Ren. That's fucking wild to me.
On one side, there was a whole host of specialists who believed Lyme bacteria becomes chronic, evades the immune system response, can sometimes evade testing, and leads to debilitating symptoms unless treated with a long course of antibiotics. On the other side were doctors who claimed that Lyme can't persist. It's easily treatable with a 2-week course of doxycycline, and further symptoms following that must be due to an autoimmune response triggered by the Lyme, or perhaps an unrelated, undiscovered cause. I educated myself as best I could on all theories, trawling through research papers on PubMed, conversing people in support groups, often contacting leading Lyme scientists via email or phone to ask them questions. Lyme disease is caused by Borrelia, a spirochete bacteria that causes symptoms like extreme fatigue, confusion, joint pain, heart problems, digestive issues, anxiety, depression, and in extreme cases, hallucinations. So everything was adding up. I fell down internet rabbit holes of learning how Borrelia produces outer membrane vesicles, which contain outer...
It's all coming together, right? For him, it's probably... Oh, it's all falling into place, but it's not like a... It's not like a satisfying feeling. Like, it's probably a pretty shitty feeling. Like, yes, it's confirmation, but it's like, holy shit, all this is like... You're reading all of this, and you're like, yep, I got that. Yep. It's crazy. Crazy. Ay. Oof. Hey there, Larry. Doing great. Thank you for stopping by. I do really appreciate it. Same, Vicky. I do appreciate you stopping by. We're just getting in, so you're not too late. You're only 3 minutes into the video. Whew. I'm telling you, that would be a lot of emotions kind of flowing in at one time. Might be overwhelming in a sense, actually.
Surface proteins which can modulate your entire immune response, essentially dampening it for its own survival. It was a truly insidious pathogen, a smart one out of a twisted horror sci-fi. There would be online groups claiming it was created in a lab in Plum Island off America and weaponized. Due to the widespread suffering it seemed to cause, and given how hard it was to treat, it was easy to see how people gravitated towards these sorts of superstitions and speculations. The main thing,
Well, hey, how about this? Maybe we should do some more research on these diseases so that people don't have to speculate. I don't know. Just my 2 cents. Shit.
made my head swim was the sheer number of treatment options, in part a byproduct of the cognitive dissonance in the medical industry at the time. There were countless antibiotic protocols, herbal protocols, immune system modulating protocols, wackier ones where people would be stinging themselves with bees or swallowing certain helminth parasites to modulate their immune systems. It was a wild west, and I wasn't so naive to be unaware that there were a lot of quacks in that space, selling people snake oil, financially taking advantage of desperation. Like a lot of the medical industry, I despise people.
All right, guys, story time. So you guys know that fentanyl hit me really hard, right? Y'all know that I will openly admit that I was an addict, and no doctors wanted to help me, so I went the route of kratom. If you've never heard of kratom, look it up. If you've never taken kratom, don't. It's extremely addictive, and the withdrawal symptoms were very similar to heroin. Fucking rough. But what do you do when you're desperate and no one's willing to help? You go to these crazy ass avenues, right? It's an Indonesian leaf. It's a leaf from Indonesia that you dry and crush, and the powders have opiate effects. It's insane because I won't even get into it. It irritates me.
People and companies who see opportunity to profit from other people's misery. If you're watching this video and you're one of those people, I would highly consider switching your role in the world and being on the right side.
Amen.
One common factor a lot of these protocols seem to share was you would certainly get a lot worse before you got any better.
Facts, Sonora. Facts. The internet, Dr. Google is like, it's great to have the knowledge there at your disposal, or the information there at your disposal, but man, it's easy to start going crazy with Dr. Google diagnoses, however you say that word. Yeah, the internet definitely helpful, but for sure, it can be it can definitely work against you too.
There was something called the Jarisch-Herxheimer reaction. As you kill off the pathogens in your system, they release biotoxins in your body, which are eventually cleared out by your kidneys and liver. These can cause systemic inflammation, additional fatigue, brain fog, mood swings, pain, flu-like feelings. I was no stranger to these things already, but when they got even worse, it was a mental battle. I sought out as many success stories as I could, and I looked for common threads in the ones of the people who made a full recovery. It seemed like long courses of antibiotics were working for some people, but to do it safely I needed to be in the care of a specialist. The NHS were fucking useless. After multiple appointments, one with an infectious disease specialist, they told me the most they could give me was a couple-week course of doxycycline. I knew that probably wouldn't be enough. They told me chronic Lyme wasn't something that they recognised. I presented them with printouts of much of the research I'd gathered online for the most recent studies, which they dismissed. One of them told me I seemed obsessed, and they asked me if I thought about getting a hobby. I fantasized about dragging him by his tie across his desk and pressing a stapler into his skull. Then I politely got up and left. Doxycycline would lead to improvements for a short time frame, and then my symptoms would come creeping back. I tried many antibiotic and herbal approaches to treat the Lyme without much luck. I tried things like Rife treatment, which is essentially running an electromagnetic pulse through your body in hopes it will kill the bacteria. I was desperate. It seemed that America took Lyme disease far more seriously than the UK, which made sense as it was far more prominent there. I settled on a doctor called Dr. Jemsek over in Washington, and when I could, I would busk or I'd sell music online to raise money. My girlfriend at the time also ran a fundraiser, and my mum said that she'd also help contribute towards flights. It's not easy being sick and broke, but somehow we made it work. A week before I was due to fly out, something happened which changed my whole life. I've always been a believer in the good that you're putting out in the world coming back to you. Luck, therefore, is more of a karmic consequence. When I was making video blogs, I wasn't doing it to build a following or for any sort of social merit or personal gain. I was doing it because I thought I was going to die. I was doing it because I wanted to feel like I'd left some sort of positive mark on the world, like I'd helped. I remember waking up one morning and going through the comment section of the latest video I'd posted, only to find a message from a British doctor who is running a clinic over in Germany in Los Angeles. He is the third and final angel of this story.
Holla freaking Luya. Holla freaking Luya. I've heard the NHS is a disaster. My boss lives in the UK, and he's basically said it's impossible to get seen. Really. Crazy. Absolutely, Sonora. It is insane. This is like years and years and years and years of just being trapped in your own like personal hell, kind of. And I'm glad he found these angels for sure.
He was reaching out to offer to help, and he didn't want anything in return. We exchanged messages and ended up jumping on a video call together. The angel explained that he sympathised with my story. His son was a musician, and at his clinic he'd seen firsthand the countless times the destruction that Lyme disease was causing. He explained his clinic was involved in cutting-edge stem cell procedures and seeing promising results for various autoimmune and Lyme patients. The cost of the procedure was upwards of $25,000, something that I could never afford. But he said that every year he personally selected patients to attend his clinic for free. He would offer me the treatment free of charge. All he wanted me to do was document my experience. It made sense to me that if Borrelia was able to modulate the immune...
This is going to get me emotional, y'all, because I feel for him so much. Ooh, gosh. Oh, God, I'm happy for him. I really am. Ooh. Yikes.
Was document my experience. It made sense to me that if Borrelia was able to modulate the immune system for its own survival, that an intervention that focused on immunological homeostasis would help. The clinic also offered antibacterial IVs targeting the Lyme and various other treatments intended to build the body back up after years of chronic health complications. I was kind of in shock. When a stranger reaches out and offers something so generous, it's natural to doubt his intentions, but something told me to trust this kind offer. I really had nothing.
And I will touch on this too, because, you know, depending on what you believe in, I'm not going to push any like religion onto anyone, but I do think, just in what I believe, that, you know, the Lord was working through that doctor. Whatever higher power you believe in was working through that doctor, and saved Ren. Really did. Really, really did.
Nothing to lose, and as morbid as it sounds, my willingness to die made it easy to throw myself into a more experimental procedure. There was also some security in the fact that he wanted me to document my experience and share it with the world. If it had been more sinister, surely he wouldn't want that sort of exposure. I decided I'd still go to the initial consultation with Dr. Jemsek, as I'd raised the money, but I would catch a flight to LA once it was done. Money was still an issue. The entire treatment length was about 6 weeks, and back then I could have never afforded the accommodation for that long. I decided to hop on Facebook, and I found a Lyme support group based in LA. There, I found people going through the treatment at the clinic who were happy to put me up in their guest rooms. Despite all our faults, human beings' ability to empathize, lift up strangers, and collectively solve problems purely because it's the right thing to do is such a beautiful characteristic to carry. I sincerely hope that
all of mankind is not lost, y'all. It's not. Doesn't exist like it used to. We're a bunch of selfish people living in this money game. See what I did there? But mankind is not lost. There are beautiful people out there. There really are. It's sad that there aren't more of them, but they're out there. Thank God Ren found these guys.
Purely because it's the right thing to do is such a beautiful characteristic to carry. I sincerely hope that we can find ways to hold on to our own empathy and humanity as we step into the future. I believe these traits will save us as a species. Survival of the fittest is a myth in a society where we have all our basic needs met. It becomes survival of those willing to cooperate. The time came and I flew out to America with Momoko, keeping me company and keeping an eye out in case my health crashed. I went to the initial consultation in Washington, D.C. They recommended that I get on a minimum
Troubles, right? Am I on it or am I off it? I feel like I've been making some progress, y'all. I don't know.
of a year-long course of various antibiotics and supplements, some to be rotated. I saw this as my fallback plan if the stem cells didn't work. We then headed to LA. It was summertime, so it was boiling. The clinic was based in Beverly Hills. The juxtaposition of spending most of my life in waiting rooms that were falling apart, feeling like a defective product on a conveyor belt that's being rushed along only to be dismissed, to then go into being in what felt like a 5-star health spa where there seemed to be a genuine care and interest for my well-being, was quite odd. I was greeted enthusiastically by the doctor. He seemed a lot younger than his age. When I mentioned this, he laughed and he said it was the stem cells. As we spoke, I could see his childlike enthusiasm for what they were doing at the clinic.
Hold on, guys. While I was taking my victory lap, I did miss some stuff.
Rushed along only to be dismissed, to then go into being in what felt like a 5-star health spa where there seemed to be a genuine care and interest for my well-being, was quite odd. I was greeted enthusiastically by the doctor. He seemed a lot younger than his age. When I mentioned this, he laughed and he said it was the stem cells. As we spoke, I could see his childlike enthusiasm for what they were doing at the clinic. Stem cells were very in vogue at the time. There was also much territory to explore, and the potential of what they could offer harder to treat diseases was incredibly exciting and promising. It was hard not to feel some of that contagious excitement leaking from the doctor. He explained that because I've been sick and misdiagnosed for so long, it wasn't going to be easy. There was no magic fix. At times I might feel like giving up, but I should trust the process. So I did. When we first arrived, I was staying on the floor of a young couple's apartment. They were just starting treatment at the clinic. Fontaine was a songwriter and he was an actor. One night he asked me if I liked bikes, and then he took me out on the back of his Harley Davidson and drove at high speed through the hills surrounding LA. It was interesting talking to Fontaine about her experience. I'd found people I could relate to online, but very...
Sorry, guys. I just got to give a shout out. Bad Wolf. Yo, it's been a minute. How you doing? Appreciate you stopping by, my guy. Thank you. Texas guy, I think, if I remember right.
Very rarely did I meet people in person whose experience had mirrored my own. She'd also been through the ringer of misdiagnoses, medical dismissal, left to suffer, trying desperately to claw back her own life. I started to realize this problem wasn't localized to the UK. It was global. So many people...
The one thing I will say is that, okay, so even going back to my story with the whole addiction thing, I actually found a Reddit community, and just reading that other people were dealing with the same shit that I was going through when I was dealing with all those withdrawals and stuff, it is seriously... I don't know. It is encouraging to know that you're not alone in this world. And so I know exactly what Ren is talking about. And I know that it must feel good to see that this isn't just like a problem in the UK or with him or anything like that. This is a big deal that needs more freaking attention.
We're going missing and screaming into a void. The first week at the clinic was aimed at building my body back up. I would sit for hours while various vitamins and nutrients were dripped into my body to address any deficiencies that may have occurred from years of being sick. They also offered talk therapy, lymphatic drainage massage, ways to calm your nervous system that would aid healing. I was still having to pinch myself that this was all free. I felt guilty for the people who had to pay. It wasn't easy. Occasionally I'd have an immune reaction to one of the IV drips. I didn't know at the time, but I had mast cell activation syndrome, which meant my body would become highly inflamed in response to many food, vitamins, even things like perfumes or scents from everyday cleaning products could set it off. Mm-hmm. A year later, while in the German clinic, I would be minutes away from nearly dying after going into anaphylactic shock during an IV drip. A nurse luckily caught me in the nick of time and injected me with an EpiPen. I spent a night in the emergency ward with Germans who couldn't speak a word of English, who put me on an electrolyte drip that made me feel even worse. During the second week in LA, I moved places to stay with another couple. The husband had been a prop and set designer for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They were extremely generous with their time and space and became almost surrogate parents to me and Momoko. There is an unusual companionship you feel with someone who has faced similar levels of suffering as yourself. like an unspoken bridge of understanding.
Exactly.
At the time, I was having difficulties with my girlfriend. I wanted her to come with me to LA, as this felt like a pretty pivotal moment in my life. It was a time where I really just wanted to feel safe, but she couldn't take the time off work. I think I felt a little bit funny about the fact my Moko had made the time and sacrificed her own work and she hadn't. She was being distant with me whenever we spoke on the phone, which frustrated me more and more. We ended up arguing a fair bit. I think this is the beginning of seeds that would soon grow into finding it extremely difficult to be in relationships in general. I usually feel pretty unlovable, extremely isolated, very antisocial. I felt alienated, often bitter that most people go through their lives not knowing what it's like to hurt every day. That they didn't appreciate the freedom their bodies allowed them as they should. To be alive and to not hurt is a blessing. To be alive and not hurt is all I want. The day of the stem cell transplant.
It does put a whole new meaning of like, appreciate what you have. There's always going to be people who have less, who feel like Duke. Meanwhile, you are over here and you're fully capable of going on a 3-mile run, or going to the gym and exercising, or going out on the boat, or going to the beach, or going hiking. There's all these people who have these things that he only could dream of having at this point. Ren. You, sir.
Bodies allowed them as they should. To be alive and to not hurt is a blessing. To be alive and not hurt is all I want. The day of the stem cell transplant finally arrived, and I was nervous, as you would be getting a giant fucking metal rod shoved into your skin. The doctors offered me an anti-anxiety med, and I was never one to turn down free drugs. With autologous stem cell transplant, they take cells from your own fat, centrifuge them, and then do some magic science shit and then feed them back to you in an IV. To acquire these cells, they have to do liposuction. The issue was
They do some weird science shit. I love that. That's how I feel about the doctor every time I go. I don't know, they're just doing some weird science shit.
Back to you in an IV. To acquire these cells, they have to do liposuction. The issue was I was already skinnier than a shadow on a cloudy day.
Wow.
They would usually take the fat from the stomach, but as I had virtually no body fat, they had to go in through the back near my coccyx. They spent about 20 minutes sawing away
at
your insides and separating your muscle from fat. Then they inject you with a liquid that breaks it down and they suck it back out. Fresh for the stem cell harvest. There's a video of me drugged up and laughing as a needle as big as my forearm gets rammed into my back.
Holy fucking balls.
I returned home pretty bruised up, but full of hope.
Like they're digging for gold. And so I'm pretty kind of bruised up. I've got these 2 little holes here where they took the stem cells out and they put them back in my arm. You can't really see on this camera because the light's too much, but I've got more holes in my arm than a Scottish heroin addict.
I'd met people at the clinic who were further along the process than me, who were singing the praises of how much better they felt. For the first 3 months I didn't really notice much, but I was told it would take time. I was already doing somewhat better from the 6 weeks of IVs.
Ooh, I'm sorry to hear that, Vicky. ME is no effing joke, first and foremost. So my wife's best friend has ME. And then actually, my daughter's best friend's mom has long COVID. Neither a joke. So I do feel for you, and I hope you can start feeling better soon for sure. It's tough. Tough.
It's an unusual psychological space to be teetering on the precipice of hope that your whole life could change. There's a certain tension and a certain excitement that comes with that. I was also having big problems with my girlfriend at the time. I'd found out some things that had really shaken my trust. In retrospect, I should have just walked away then and there, but I held on because part of me blamed myself. In my sickness, I held people at a distance, so I felt like I deserved negative things. We would fight a lot. The health problems added a whole new dimension to something that would be hard for any couple. I couldn't trust that she loved me as much as she said she did because of certain things that I found out. A few months after the transplant, me and her decided to get away from everything and stay with a mother on the south of Spain. One night, we were sat on the grass, looking up at the sky, being surrounded by avocado and lemon trees. It felt like we were in some sort of Eden-like paradise. She asked me to marry her. It was her way of proving that she loved me and would always love me. And I said yes, but I meant no. Even when we went to pick out rings, I just felt scared. I lost the ability to trust love. I don't fully blame her for that. She was an awesome person trying to navigate a complicated situation. I blame my sickness. My sickness was an inseparable from me, and so I blamed myself. After about a month of being home, she sat down with me one day and told me she decided to move to Australia for a year. She told me it wouldn't change anything between us. I had my doubts. Despite the additional stress in my life, something amazing was happening. About 4 months after the stem cell transplant, I noticed the desire to leave the house. I noticed more colour in my skin. I joined a gym that was a 3-minute walk from my house. I started working out for the first time in years. Music started pouring back into my life.
Gives
I
me
was
chills.
singing more. I was producing more. And this was all leading up to my favourite chapter so far.
The boys! These guys. Yo. It's so cool. There we go. We got Sam.
It's like I don't work, no. No flame to spark my My Nike's laced in dirt. Shit. I feel like I'm treading on my own soul. My headphones only working on the left side, but I try to live the right life. My eyes wide and
He can
I
sing.
try.
I love when they do this, like busking stuff, because it's so real and authentic. Like, this is the coolest shit in the world. It's like when you go through like a mall and you see somebody just rip it on the piano and you ask them to play a song, any song, and they can just kill it. Dude, that's what this reminds me of. Sam's got a voice. I don't know if y'all saw my video. That man put me in tears. For real. For real. These guys.
My headphones only working on the left side, but I try to live the right life. My eyes wide and I strive to stop my demons ripping from the inside. This road is dark and I can't find the batteries for my flashlight. I'm blind-eyed and outside. Red, go.
Your turn. There we go with the noises. That man.
These drugs don't work. The pain it takes control. Bloodstained shirt. I feel like I'm always being chased by the devil. I try to talk, but I can't seem to get my spoken words right. And I try to keep my stutter light. And this life, it can be ish right. Cut you like a flick knife, twist and make you sick right. And I feel.
Yeah, so Bad Wolf, it was Lose It All. That shit broke me because just drawing back to past experiences with me and my wife, broke me. It broke me. But now you're talking about, is there a song called Hero? Or am I misinterpreting that? I don't know if I can handle another breakdown. I don't know.
So I redirect the calls from my phone. I learned so many lessons from depression, but in essence I'm just
Yeah, that crowd's getting bigger and bigger. Oh, here we go. Now we're changing it up. Why not?
Sometimes I guess sometimes it's when it's like time is against me. In my mind I kind of mind, yet on my mind it tortures me. But I shine, cause when I shine it's like my shines, they set me free. And I rhyme, I shine so bright, these rhymes come out of me. Times I bleed, times I crawl, times I slip, times I fall. Times my back's up against the wall, so hard that the whole building could fall. Times I bruise, times I break, times I'm true, times I'm fake, times I'm when the forward is to open and just swallow me for goodness sake. I don't want to break cause the ache in his face. I'm awake in the
This man.
Sometimes no time for double taste, but
That's just the way life goes sometimes.
I don't want to end up in the gutter being bad, but my trouble face down in the puddle where the sun don't shine up.
Woo! Nobody wants to be in the gutter face down.
Oh Lord, take this pain away.
These guys. Sharon, before you leave. Oh, I'm clicking on everybody but Sharon, sorry. Have a good night, Sharon. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you have a great day at work. Hopefully it's not too rough for you, but thank you so much for stopping by. I'll catch you next time, Sharon. Yeah, this is fire, guys. Why not? Fire. Man, it's alive. Woo! Hell yes.
So that was a song that me and Ren wrote. If you want to follow us on Instagram, it's Ren Makes Music. That's REN Makes Music. I am Sam Tompkins UK. That's Sam TOMPKINS UK. This next song is called Same Old Situation. We wrote this not so long ago. Ren Makes Music. That's it.
Fuego. I'm so glad they met each other. So glad. That's like the perfect yin and yang, but I say that about Chinchilla and Ren too. I say that about the guys with the big push and Ren. It's just, I don't know. The common denominator is Ren, y'all. Just saying. All right, let's cue up 8. Chapter 8. All right, anybody need a potty break? You guys good? We all good to start? Let me know. I'm good if y'all are good. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know. I think based on what we saw, I believe it was chapter 6, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know. I don't think the entirety of the story. No, probably not. Yeah, probably not. I'm going to say that with pretty good confidence that I don't. Okay. Was that it? That he lended him an amp? Is that right? Yeah, I do believe. I think it was either Sonora. I think it was 5 or 6. I do remember them meeting. I just don't remember what initiated that meeting. It might have been like Pixie said, where he lended him an amp. Yeah, everybody's on the amp train, so that must have been what it is. Oh, you got me on the mobile and the big screen? Shoot! I did. You do your thing, Bad Wolf. You do your thing. Here we go. I don't know how I look on a big screen. I'd keep it to the mobile.
I was sat in a cafe across from a strange French man in a suit. I had to decide over a 5-minute drink if this was the man that I was going to live with for the next year of my life. A
Wait,
week before,
what the
I'd been
fuck?
if this
Hold
was
on, I was
across
vibing.
from a strange French man in a suit. I had to decide over a 5-minute drink if this was the man that I was going to live with for the next year of my life. A week before, I'd been sat in the same cafe with a Polish man. My friend Luke had put me in touch. Me and my girlfriend had decided to move into separate houses in hopes it would fix our crumbling relationship. The guy seemed pretty chill online, and so I'd already agreed to move in with him. This was just a little informal meet before we did.
Uh-oh.
A few minutes in, I instantly regretted everything. He told me a story of how the week before he'd come home drunk and he'd pissed all over his own living room and was in hysterics about it. I laughed nervously.
I'd laugh nervously too, like, heh, heh, cool, heh, heh, heh. Dude. Yeah, not exactly the great first impression. Hey, nice to meet you. Oh, by the way, I was drunk last week and pissed all over my floor. Just letting you know. Okay, so Angel says, hold on, let me see if I can move this down a little bit because I think we're cut off slightly. Nope. I'll have to fix it later. So Angel says, Ren saw him singing without anything and stopped and lent him the amp to him. Okay, so Ren lended Sam the amp. Oh, that's so dope that he used that money to buy him an amp. That's so freaking cool. So freaking cool. Ren is such a stand-up dude. He really is. He's such a stand-up dude. Nobody has to do that. So cool.
Taking a sip of water as I imagined a future of watching Netflix shows near a carpet that stank of piss. He then went on to tell me a story of how this girl that he liked had rejected his advances. So he'd, in his own words, grabbed her by the pussy and she slapped him. He wasn't sure if it was going to work out between them. I was certain it...
What in the Donald Trump did I just hear? What?
I imagined a future of watching Netflix shows near a carpet that stank of piss. He then went on to tell me a story of how this girl that he'd liked had rejected his advances. So he'd, in his own words, grabbed her by the pussy and she slapped him.
Good.
He wasn't sure if it was going to work out between them. I was certain it wasn't going to work out between them.
Slapped
I didn't
the
laugh
shit
this
out of him.
time. I made an excuse and I left. When I got home, I messaged him, making up a lie that me and my girlfriend had patched things up and she'd be moving with me instead. I had a week to find a new roommate.
Oh, shit.
I was, for all intents and purposes, a loud little bugger. I'd often spend unhealthy amounts of time making beats, so the person that I moved in with needed to be able to tolerate noise. I found this Facebook group called Brighton Bands and Musicians and I posted on it. It went something like this. Hi, I'm a noisy person and I'm looking for another noisy person to live with. Enter the Frenchman. He'd moved from France in hopes of kickstarting his music career.
Romaine. Is this Romaine? Please tell me if this is Romaine. It looks like Romaine. He's French. I remember him rapping in French. He was fucking laying it down.
He was working in a restaurant and busking on the streets whenever he had time. He was, for the better part of the word, eccentric, and at first I couldn't quite place him. The bar was set extremely low by the carpet-pissing sex offender though, so the Frenchman could have probably told me he was part of an extreme terrorist organisation and I'd probably said, great mate, when can you move in?
Yo.
The house was only meant for two, but in true cheapskate style we found a third housemate called Tom, who was probably one of the funniest people I've ever met. Tom would go on hour-long rants about how Nicolas Cage is the world's best actor.
I said, put the bunny back in the box.
And he makes a compelling case too.
Oh, Ren is so creative.
That Frenchman was Romain Axisa. We'd go on to form a band called The Big Push, and he'd
Hell
become one of my
yeah.
closest friends. The second week we moved in together, it was his birthday, so me and Tom decided to gaffer tape about 50 baguettes and bunches of garlics to the walls and ceilings to decorate. It was 2016 and political correctness hadn't come into full effect. He still didn't think it was very funny. My energy was only improving during this time, although progress was slow. The doctor had recommended I do a second transplant to speed things up. I returned to LA for the second time with my close friend Saran and went through the motions again. Eventually, I'd switched to their sister clinic in Frankfurt, where I entered one of the more unusual periods of my life. The UK has border regulations on certain medications and supplements. Some I shouldn't have been taking back with me. I remember fashioning a hidden compartment in my suitcase where I would smuggle IV bags full of various nutrients and immune modulating drugs over the border. I did this a few times. One drug, Filgrastim was often given to AIDS or cancer patients with low neutrophil counts. On my tests, my neutrophils were always outside of range on the lower side, so the injections would theoretically raise them. The issue was I was still broke. I don't think the doctor realised how broke. I was meant to pay for private nurse to administer the drips, but I couldn't afford it. So without telling the doctor, I taught myself how to administer an IV watching YouTube tutorial videos.
Fun story. When I was in the Army, I was a medic, and anytime that when we were in something called AIT, it stands for Advanced Individual Training. So after basic training, you go to AIT to learn your job. And so I think medic training was like something like 16 weeks long. And one of the things you learn is how to administer an IV. But the funny thing is anytime people would come back to the barracks like drunk as shit, we would just give them IVs to sober them up real quick and get to formation. It's really not that hard, actually, to give yourself your own IV. Believe it or not.
First, it was very messy. I messed up a lot of veins trying to get the catheter to stay in. There was a lot of blood, but eventually I got the hang of it.
That's one thing I'll say. If you don't know what you're doing at first, it's probably going to be... you're probably going to squirt some blood. Yeah.
I'd be sitting in the living room watching One Punch Man while an IV bag dripped slowly into my veins. And day by day I got stronger and stronger. The issue was I started noticing my food intolerances getting worse. The stem cells had improved my pain, energy, clarity of thought, but it worsened my ability to tolerate food.
Sorry to keep pausing, guys, but I watched a video of Ren's recently on Ren Makes Stuff. So I do like to go to Ren Makes Stuff because it's not so much music over there, but I did see him making duck, I think it was, because it's like one of the only meats he can tolerate. Sounds like he's got some serious food sensitivities. Yeah, crazy.
Something I later learned was caused by MCAS, or mast cell activation syndrome. Some other stories also started circulating online groups of people.
Hey, okay, all right, Bad Wolf. 2 weeks before basic, did they disqualify you? Like, that was it? You got hurt? Probably couldn't make it through MEPS, I would assume. They screwed me out of a baseball scholarship, just so you know, the Army. Dirty birds.
Getting far worse after the stem cell transplant. I can't say that this didn't shake me. As more time elapsed, I learned of legal cases that were opened against the clinic for malpractice. The clinic in Beverly Hills eventually shut its doors. It was hard to know how to feel about this. The doctor had been my saving grace. He'd pulled me out of a half existence, but I could see where people's frustrations were coming from. As the clinic grew in popularity, I think its resources became stretched and its communication became worse. Nonetheless, that man will always remain the third angel in my tale, and I'll always be grateful.
Got too big for their own good, but...
It's hard for me to definitively recommend stem cells. I believe it's a gamble. Some got worse, but they did actually really help me. They didn't cure me, and some of my symptoms got worse, but they allowed me to be an active member of society again. And that was huge for me.
Bro, I'm going to be real with you. I haven't reacted to much over the last, I will say 2 weeks, really. Between the hurricane and then having to catch up on work, I've been real shitty at reacting to things. So I'm trying to get back on the train. Today, we kind of released what we were releasing at work, so I'm hoping things will kind of simmer down a little bit and I can get back on my normal schedule. I got to do my voiceover on Seven Sins still, and then I got to do a few other songs as well, and I want to check out Chinchilla. I think it's called The Chain, if I remember. But yes, definitely we'll be getting to Harry Mack as well. But I've been bad. Bad boy.
A few more months passed. My girlfriend had moved to Australia, but she was being very distant with me and rarely answering calls. She broke up with me on Christmas Day while I was visiting my mum. I took it very badly, but it was also symbolic.
Yo. Yes, go take a nap. Get your mind out of the gutter. Oh, that's hilarious. Fused dicks. Two dicks fused together.
The end of one chapter and the start of the next. Despite our difficulties, I'm still grateful for the time we shared. There's always two sides to every story, and I don't imagine it was easy being with someone who was tormented by my health problems as I was during the time. I returned back to Brighton, and then I started living. For the first time in years, really living. Me, Romain and Tom would throw parties nearly every night. I didn't drink or do drugs, but I was high on being able to participate. I felt like I was living in Brighton for the first time in my life. I was able to walk around, to take in the city, to live. I also started getting the attention of women. During my teen years, I wasn't the best looking and I was a bit awkward. During my early 20s, I was...
Yeah, I feel for you, Pixie. I do. I really do. Yeah, it's tough. I can't imagine it. You know, that feeling of, you know, the worst part I think is, because I know people who have issues with their gut, and it's food still smells good to them. Like, if I were to order a extra large pepperoni pizza, it's going to smell good as fuck for them. But they know they cannot even partake in it because it's just not even an option. I can't imagine it. I do. I hope all of you guys, anybody dealing with pain, any kind of issues, I really do hope y'all start feeling better. You know, I think we all go through them, some worse than others, and we all need support. Lift it up.
so sick I rarely went out, so this was new for me, and I threw myself in head first. I realised that I really like pretty girls, and pretty girls apparently like boys who make music. A lot of nights I'd go out by myself around Brighton and end up meeting a whole bunch of beautiful women. One night I ended up breaking into the Hilton Hotel with a girl that I just met. We managed to get onto the roof, but we were chased down the flights of stairs by security. We ended up having sex on the beach at 2 in the morning while the tide came in.
There you go.
The parties we throw...
Get that sand out of your booty cheeks, though. I've been there, done that. Messy as hell. It's not what you think it is. Sounds great. Sex on the beach. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I did it wrong.
would get crazier and crazier. There'd be times where everyone was half naked by the end of the night. I find myself in strange situations where I was having sex on a living room sofa with 2 girls while some random dude sat smoking a joint on a nearby table. I noticed this guy who was a friend of Romaine's who kept passing out on our sofa. One time he woke up covered in scratches from this Mexican girl who had
Are we introducing Goran? I have no idea. I'm just throwing that out there.
been telling us stories the night before of all the people she'd stabbed. This guy was Goran Kendall. He sang like Bob Dylan, and he looked like he'd fallen out of a punk rock band. I liked him. Me, Romaine and Goran were all musicians, and naturally we started jamming together. I remember the first time something clicked. We were at Goran's house with an Australian girl I'd been seeing and her friends. The night before, she'd gotten drunk and tried to strip me naked during an open mic night at the Fiddler's Elbow. I was pretty willing, and we both ended up in our underwear being kicked out in fits of laughter. We decided to stop.
This makes me so happy because this is all the stuff he's been missing out on, man. Now he's getting to have a little bit of fun. I love it. I love it. And I know that these issues, like, it's not over by any means. I mean, he's got to go back now, today. Not today, but you know what I mean. Present day, he still has to go back for more antibiotic treatment. So he's still dealing with stuff, but I'm so happy that he's been able to at least experience some happiness.
Working out 3-part harmonies together. We figured out a cover of Octopus's Garden by the Beatles. And not to blow our own horns, but it sounded fucking brilliant.
Agreed.
I remember someone walking past the house and hearing from outside, and they started to clap. Eventually the 3 of us would busk on the streets together. We all busked separately, so it made sense. Back then, I'd occasionally drag a kick and a snare drum out with me in a wheelbarrow, and I'd drum while Goran and Romaine played and sang. We would always have people come up to us and they'd ask for our band name, and we never had an answer. We came up with this genius idea of forming a band.
Genius.
One of us said that we should be called the 3 Hats because there was 3 of us and sometimes we wore hats. One of us said, nah, that's shit. Eventually we settled on the Big Push, and we got tighter and tighter. As my energy increased, I was able to do more and more. We play about 5 nights a week in various pubs and bars in Brighton for shit money.
I like the Big Push more than the 3 Hats. Thank you for whoever said it was shit.
On Saturday we'd get out onto the streets and go busking. There was just one problem. I was proper shit at drumming. The universe eventually provided us with a handsome bearded Irishman, and everything fell into place. I loved those boys. We were in truest sense a rock and roll band. We got banned from playing at a few venues because we'd occasionally get carried away and break a bit too many things on stage. I got a lot of bills for microphone stands.
That was Glenn, right? Glenn is the drummer. I think that rounds out the 4, right? Ren, Romaine, Goran, and Glenn? Yeah.
Or charges for paint jobs where I'd sprawled the Big Push over the walls in permanent marker pen. Life was a bit like a movie. My ambition at the time wasn't to be in the greatest band of all time or to have any kind of success. I was just so relieved to be alive and play.
Yes.
So every day felt like a victory. Despite this, I was still carrying a lot of symptoms with me. The pain in my legs never stopped. The buzzing in my feet never relented. My vision was still blurry. I'd still get days where I was so foggy that it was hard to communicate. One day after a gig with the Big Push, being overstimulated triggered a very temporary jolt back into psychosis, and I found myself lying on a table in the pub, repeating the same sentence over and over again for about 10 minutes, while surrounded by a very concerned group of onlookers. I came to, in tears, and I quickly left in embarrassment. If I didn't stick to my diet of about 5 different things, I'd be trapped in bed again, but it was okay. I was willing to hurt if it meant I could participate in life again, and I intended to live the fuck out of it. I met this beautiful Spanish girl one night after playing at a local pub, and I fell instantly in love. She had this beautiful blonde curly hair and was wearing dungarees, and I was enamoured with her from the first moment that I saw her, and she didn't make it easy, which made me like her even more. I'd write her poetry, invite her to shows and attempt to be funny. She knew me as the local slut, which didn't really make things very easy, but with time she could see that I genuinely cared about her, and I did, a lot. One time we snuck into a cinema together, and I proceeded to climb onto what I thought was the stage below the screen to put on a show for her as she sat alone in the aisles cheering. What I didn't know was that stage wasn't a stage, it was a 6-foot drop. I confidently put my feet on thin air, and then I fell, smashing my face onto the corner of a railing on the way down, seeing a flash of white light and regaining consciousness with her rolling around in fits of laughter on the floor. She was intelligent, creative, unusual and beautiful. I carried a lot of trauma with me into that relationship. Relationships generally didn't feel safe for me. She was briefly diagnosed with BPD, which later turned out to be a misdiagnosis, and I had major trust issues from my last relationship, which had grown into commitment issues. It was a bit of a recipe.
Okay, so I have no idea who this girlfriend is. I know there's a song called Crutch featuring BB, but I don't know if that was ever like a girlfriend or not. I don't know that well enough, or if that's who he's talking about. Can you guys let me know who he's talking about?
For disaster, but we loved each other very intensely and very dysfunctionally until we couldn't. I wish I'd been able to surrender. It was a bit Sid and Nancy, very dramatic to say the least, and I won't get into it for her sake, but it was beautiful and I loved her very much. It taught me a lot. I learned that the echoes of the past had shaped me into something that I struggled to be. I envied the people who could jump into relationships and feel safe or content. I wondered if it was because I had to watch my mum and dad fighting till their marriage crumbled when I was a kid. If it was because I'd learned as a child.
So, okay, so Angel, was this pre this girl, BB? So was this what he was talking about earlier when the girl proposed to him? Was that BB? And then this is someone else?
That I had to be independent because external love was inconsistent.
Okay, so he doesn't name her.
I wondered if it was because I'd been too late to save Joe. I wondered if it was because I was forced to live most of my adult life in isolation. I wondered if it was to do with my past relationships. I didn't know, but I felt confused and I felt angry with myself. I knew I wanted to surrender to love, to feel truly worthy of it, but every time I tried I feel discontent and unsettled, like the security of love was something I wanted to escape. The thought of ending up in a white picket fence house with my perfect family felt like prison. After 8 long years of being tethered to a body in pain, I wanted to be liberated from any sort of attachment. Any sort of predictability of the future after a life of torturous monotony made my stomach feel like I'd swallowed cinder blocks.
Mm-hmm.
When I felt someone...
That's the crazy thing, is like, even though he is doing better, right? He's not anywhere near fully healthy, but even though he's doing better, there's so many different elements of, you know, challenges that you have to work through internally, like him right now. Getting married and having this, you know, picturesque lifestyle with your family, that sounds like a prison for him. He also, I think, feels like by getting into a relationship with his, you know, health conditions, it's almost like, I bet internally he feels like he's setting up that other person for failure in the relationship, which is tough. That would be a very tough feeling. And, you know, he just got a taste of freedom, locking it all down. I don't know if that sounds like the greatest thing to him at this point. I don't know. Whew.
One's love, I had to fight the urge to run and keep moving, but paradoxically still desperately wanted to be loved. And I loved to love. And I loved her. That discontent was something that stuck with me, and it hasn't made relationships easy. Around 2018, I'd reconnect with Sam. He was in his 20s now, so I felt far less weird about hanging out with a teenage boy. During this time, we wrote a few songs together.
Never, ever, ever, unless you're saying it like I am, never say never. Never say never. Never know. You really don't. You know, I mean, I'm sure it's very tough, but you never know. I'm sure, Ren didn't think he was going to find these angels, and I'm so glad he did, and I really hope you do too, Pixie. I really do. Everybody deserves it. Every single one of us.
Blind-eyed, what went wrong, and same old situation. All bangers, by the way. It was April, and we were shooting a video for What Went Wrong. We were using my friend Josh's car, and there was a scene where we needed a smashed up bonnet. But it went outside of the budget we had to pay for the video, so me and Sam decided to go busking to raise the money. I promise what follows is the truth. We never rehearsed Blind-Eyed live before, but while we were out on the street, I turned to him and I asked if we should play it. I started playing the first chord that made sense without even thinking. It started in B minor in this kind of reggae way that was totally different to the original recording. Somehow, it was totally fucking magic. The whole street stopped. Sam was hitting notes and runs that seemed outside of the reach of a mere mortal. Luckily, Sam Perry Falvey, who films the videos, was with us, and he captured the whole thing on camera. Before this moment, I kind of surrendered to the fact I probably wouldn't have a career in music again. I was doing it for me. I was doing it to celebrate being alive. The week after the video shoot, me and Sam decided to go busking again because it had felt so good. Someone filmed us covering a version of Vera Hall's Trouble So Hard.
Trouble so hard.
And posted it to a Mexican restaurant page on Facebook. It was the first thing that I'd done since returning to the land of the living that went viral, and it went very viral. It started being shared everywhere by millions of people. 2 weeks after that, another cover of us performing was circulating the internet. That went viral too. By the time we released the busking version of Blind-Eyed, the internet went crazy. My social media following started exploding. People like Elton John were talking about us on the radio. People would fly in from all over the world just to watch us perform on the street. By the end of summer 2018, we were shutting down entire high streets because of the volume of people coming to watch us perform.
Oh, that's so
There was
cool.
something magic about the synergy of me and Sam that stopped people in their tracks. We were being tagged in videos from all over the world of people listening to Blind-Eyed. People were listening from war zones, from rocket launch sites, from deep in jungles. It was surreal, and it was incredibly affirming. It was a second chance, and I didn't think I'd get a second chance. The shared out with Sam was special. A lot happened after that. More love, more heartbreak, more health complications, more healing, more setbacks, more parties, more medications, sold out shows, frustrations with the music industry, betrayals, theft, friends lost to addiction. My health would take me on more journeys into foreign countries, #1 albums, awards, a pandemic, meeting idols, making money, losing money. But I'll save all that for another time. It's fitting that this story ends here. Trouble So Hard by Vera Hall has always resonated with me very deeply. She was the daughter of a slave, navigating a hostile 1940s America, something I'll never be able to relate to. The pain and simplicity of the line, "Don't nobody know my troubles but God," was one that seemed universal to all struggles.
Keep me honest here, guys. But didn't he use Vera's... Okay, so he used it in Troubles, I think. Right? Like, he had his own, but then he layered in, actually, her lyrics, if I remember. Trouble so hard. Yeah, I am like 90% sure.
And it was a line I was always deeply connected to. If there is a God, I want to thank you for giving me the resilience to be able to sit down here and to tell my story today. I hope it's far from over, and I hope that this is just chapter 1. Thank you, everybody, for giving me the space to share my story with you. For everybody still in the dark, trust, hope, and dare to dream that you can get out of it too.
Yes.
I love you all, and thank you for supporting me like you have.
Oh, we love you, bro. Woo! Pew, pew, pew. You did it, bro. Oh, this man. Yikes, he's been through some hell. Man, this Ren is like the definition of resilience. Being resilient. That is Ren. It's so cool. Oh, it's so cool. He's got a long way to go still, I know. He's got a long way to go, but this man is... If there's anybody who can get through it, it is this dude. 100%. 100%. Oh, okay, so that actually... Thank you. That actually does add some context. So he released these chapters leading up to him releasing the track Troubles. If so, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'm excited. to I think he said, I feel like he was going to work on something, another video. I feel like I saw him post saying he was going to do a video to explain kind of everything that's gone down with his health a little bit, which I'd be very interested to watch for sure. So yeah, that was super dope. I'm so glad I closed this out, guys. It's been a long time coming. I am glad I finally got to close this out. The man's resilient. He doesn't give up. He does not give up, and I'm so glad he doesn't give up, because he provides everybody with like a sense of hope, and then he provides us with music that literally I think every single person can relate to in some form or fashion, because it's real life. It's real life stuff. It really is. And we all know kind of what the world is turning into, sort of, and it's crazy. Ren is a gem. I've always said he's a gem. He's an angel. He's the fourth angel in this story. My story, at least. So good. New Tales. Yes. I did see that too. That would be, I'm telling you, be dope as hell. Dope as hell. All right, guys. How about we close it out with a song? Somebody throw a song out. Let's close it out. Let's end this thing right. What are we listening to? What do we got? We could do Seven Sins right here and now, and then I'll post the... Well, I've already heard Seven Sins. I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys. Let's see. Let's see what we got. What do you guys want to hear? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so we got 16 bar challenge. We got patience. What do we got? What do we got? If I see the same one twice. Okay, so let's do 16 bar challenge. How about that? Y'all straight with that? We good? I got a couple of them here. Power, I did listen to Power, I think, in one of our rapid fire nights, which is also super dope. I love it. All right, we want to do 16 bar challenge. Patience. I don't know if I heard patience. Let's do 16 bar challenge, though. I'll save patience for a reaction. How about that? How about that? I have not done the big push in Praise You. I have not done that one yet, Sonora. Keep these in your back pocket, because this weekend when we have Rapid Fire Night, it's happening this weekend. Work derailed everything, but it's happening this weekend. So save some of these in your back pocket. Faux show. Okay, so Praise You, you guys think needs a reaction? Yeah, let's do it. Yes. Saturday. We're back with the normal schedule now. I think work is going to be chilled out, so yeah, it'll be Saturday. I need to get it posted so that everybody can hit the little bell. But yeah, Saturday, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to do it. All right, here we go. 16 bar challenge. Let's do this. Hold up. Oh, this looks like a little bit younger Red. Okay. All right. Here we go. Close it out on a good note.
I was born with a dictionary stuck in my head. A walking, talking thesaurus, filling rappers with dread. But when I kill them, they respect me like the Day of the Dead. My lyrics hit them so hard, it makes the corpses erect. The Terminator, Schwarzenegger, Hot Potato, Gladiator, Room Shaker, Tomb Raider, Darth Vader with the saber.
This is like old school. Giving me some Biggie vibes, actually. Yo.
I was born with a dictionary stuck in my head. A walking, talking thesaurus, filling rappers with dread. But when I kill them, they respect me like the Day of the Dead. My lyrics hit them so hard, it makes the corpses erect. The Terminator, Schwarzenegger, Hot Potato, Gladiator, Room Shaker, Tomb Raider, Darth Vader with the saber, fucking pagans. I spray them with ray guns, they resign like Reagan. I'm Ronald McDonald, a Big Mac with bacon. Blatant, I'm killing the scene. Rhyme schemes far.
Don't forget, we got the chicken Big Mac now, y'all. He needs to go back and update his song.
Tomb Raider, Darth Vader with the saber, fucking pagans. I spray them with ray guns, they resign like Reagan. I'm Ronald McDonald, a Big Mac with bacon. Blatant, I'm killing the scene. Rhyme schemes far catchier than COVID-19. I stay topical, yeah, old school when spitting on beats. So I hit like Tyson Fury, but I move like Ali. I'm the greatest, who's the greatest? So elevate me on your playlist, like escalators. A sick puppy, I'm Mercedes. I 50 shade this, like Slim Shady. Had a baby with Curtis Jackson and named it 50 Shades, get it? My flow is diabetic, so sugar, don't forget it. I am the surgeon medic, no need for anesthetic. I be the alphabetic, cyborg, I'm cybernetic. I make it so poetic, just so you don't forget it. And you don't really wanna fuck with me. I grab a rapper by his nuts and squeeze. Or any boy, you're such a fucking tease.
Oh, shit. A minute of just pure fire. Oh, man. Hey, what did he say in Murderer, right? He said he's going to line him up. And he ain't talking about metaphorically, actually kill him. Pop! I'm just saying, that's what Ren said. That's not what I said. That's what Ren said. All right, y'all, I think that's going to do it for me. What time is it? 5:45 here. I got to eat dinner. I knew I was hungry for some reason. Thank you guys so much, so much for stopping by and finishing this out with me. I will be back tomorrow with reactions. Everything is closed out, I think, at work, so we should be good tomorrow. Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, Rapid Fire Nights. Don't forget, guys, bring your songs, and we're going to light it up. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening, night, morning. I don't know how late it is for some of y'all. It's probably pretty late for some of you guys, so I hope you guys have a great night, good morning, and I will catch you guys next time. Hope you guys have a great week. Peace out.